Welcome back to another episode of the All Tense Podcast. I'm your co-host, Josh West, here today with Clay Harris. And today, Clay, I want to dive into another frustration that we find amongst lots of businesses that we work with. And simply put, it's profit, and there's not enough of it. Talk to me about working with some of your clients and having them focused around improving their margins.
Okay, I'm actually going to throw a curveball here, Josh. You didn't expect it, but I'm going to share an experience from this week in a session room with a client who is killing it. They can't stop growing. They're making good money. From a financial point of view, everyone is happy. And so they don't fit the classic definition of frustrated by profit, but I want to use it to illustrate the point that you have to be worried about it no matter how it feels. Does that make sense?
100%.
Okay, because there's a world in which there's not enough money being made, and that's a harder world than the world in which there's enough money being made, for sure. But the frustration around profit doesn't just come from not enough. It can also come from, I don't know how I'm getting it. And so this, I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. Okay. So in the room, and this company hits their metrics every quarter. Literally, there hasn't been a quarter where they're off. And then I said, to what do you attribute the success? And they're like, I don't know. It's just the way it goes.
Wow.
And you know, cool. But I kind of brought them around to seeing this idea that if they're not 100% sure how they're getting the profit that they're making, then when things start turning south, and invariably we know that all businesses are gonna go through periods of getting stuck and unstuck, right?
Oh, with this company, I can definitely foresee the frustration down the road of, wait, what was working before is not working now. What happened?
Yeah. And so it led to like this really wonderful discussion on the leadership team of, you know, going back up the chain of like, what are the things that are driving our profitability, that are driving our revenue growth, that are driving the performance? And for better or worse, it's not an exercise that they had really done as well as they thought they had when we started digging in. And so you start seeing these light bulbs click of like, and this is the thing that it works whether or not you're making the money you want to be making or you're making more than you think you should be making, is that when you start understanding at the root what the key behaviors are, what the activities are that drive outcome and all those sorts of things, and start tracking and paying attention and understanding, recognizing and rewarding the right things, then you actually even get more.
Mm-hmm.
The trick to this whole thing is that you got to understand what works. Then you got to write it down and do it the right way, the best way, the most efficient way every time. Hopefully that gives you the results that you want. If not, you update it and start over and keep working that system. And yeah, so that's my like little experience share. That's a little bit of a curveball, but I think speaks actually to the same outcome, that there's not an entrepreneur that I know that doesn't want a little bit more tomorrow than what they got today. And that's just the hunger, the burn, the fire that's inside all of us to win. And you know what, 1 out of 100 clients comes and says like, hey, I got no issues on profit, but even the one that does can do a better job tomorrow than they did today. And that's the thing that kind of goes through all of it, which I think is a pretty interesting way to think about it. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I've seen this manifest in different ways with different clients, and not to confuse revenue or profit, but sometimes there's a weakness in marketing and sales, and we simply aren't getting enough people through there, and then that shows up with, well, we're not making enough money. But in that case, really, you're not even bringing in enough revenue. In other cases, I, like you, work with also a client that has existed for over 20 years, extremely successful, but finally they hit the ceiling. And there, it's not that they don't know what they're doing, but they've grown to that level where, okay, now we've got to get some processes in place, like you said, right? Like you reference being able to get everybody doing everything in that efficient way. And so what's eating at some of those margins is that inefficiency. And then even in some cases, you simply aren't strong in the finance seat. No one's really taking it personally, watching after it carefully, and there's that lack of understanding there of, even if you're succeeding in spite of yourself, well, where's it coming from? And if anything changes down the road, you might not be very well equipped to adjust to that and really repair it in real time, because business never stops. And so, profit's one of those things you hear a lot, but you and I well know that, if someone says that to us, it's followed by many questions to really truly dig in further and find out where the root of that lies, because there's not one simple answer for, oh, just do this and you'll make more money and more profit. Nope, unfortunately.
Dang
If
it.
there were, and we could guard that secret, we might not even be on this podcast, Clay. We'd be on an island somewhere.
What if the secret is record podcasts, Josh?
Well, then we're well on our way. Unknowingly.
Good for us. All right. Profit. Everybody wants more, whether you got enough or don't got enough. There's things that you can do to make it a little bit better tomorrow. And this is the fun part of what we do, is watching those numbers go up on the board. Joshy, before we wrap up here, what's a good nugget to share with the team?
In this one, I would say, profit is a number. Now, it's not all numbers that can lead us there, but I'd say start there, right? Have a very clear understanding and be very honest and clear with yourself on what's happening inside the business, particularly in that data component. And I would start there.
Cool. For me, the thing that I see a lot is like a little bit of head trash around, well, I'm really scared to share that target with the rest of my company. Like, they think there's a little, like, you go home at the end of the day and jump into your pile of gold coins, like a little Scrooge McDuck action.
Yeah.
And for sure, the easiest thing isn't always the best thing, but sharing where we're headed, what our goals are, is actually a big part of getting alignment. And so don't be afraid to share with your company, like, what the goals are for the company. You're not just going to say, I only want to make X number of dollars in profit. I also want to tell you what the revenue is going to look like, what the company is going to look like. It's all one big picture that you're painting with for your team. And without all the colors on the palette, the picture isn't complete. So that would be my nugget. Cool. Why don't you wrap us up, Josh?
Well, I appreciate that thought, Clay. Indeed, a transparent company is a healthy company. And that's going to do it for today's episode. Please remember, wherever you're listening to us, whatever your favorite streaming platform is, rate the meeting 1 to 10. We're always striving for 10s on the All 10s podcast. We'll see you next time.
Bye.